The NBA preseason is now officially over, meaning the next time we will get to see an NBA team take the court will be on Tuesday, October 16th. And we actually got a couple of good games that day too. I mean, we got the Sixers versus the Celtics and then the Warriors versus the Thunder. Granted, the Warriors versus the Thunder would be a lot better if Russell Westbrook was actually able to play, but that's not going to be the case. Anyways, with the preseason now over, I thought that this will be a good time to kind of recap some of the best things and the worst things, the Wolves, that I noticed from this NBA preseason. So let's just get right into it. And we're gonna start off with something good that I noticed in the preseason, and that would be D'Angelo Russell. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the first game that D'Angelo Russell played in the preseason was pretty sus. And as a whole, I wouldn't say that he was amazing or a show-stopping player during the preseason whatsoever. He did have his up and down moments, but every player throughout the preseason had up and down moments. It's a preseason. They're still trying to get rust off, still trying to get acclimated to actually playing an NBA game again. But D'Angelo Russell was a guy that I was specifically looking out for this preseason, since there was a lot of fuss being made about him during the offseason. We were getting tons of reports out saying that he was working hard on his game this summer, that he basically never came out of the gym, and that he was extremely motivated by the payday that one of his best friends, Devin Booker, just got. And if he wanted to see a payday even close to the one Devin Booker just got, he was going to have to improve. He was going to have to show that he can be a leader of the Brooklyn Nets. So with that being said, just in this preseason alone, I have definitely seen promise. I've seen the evidence that D'Angelo Russell was actually putting in work this summer, averaging around 18 points per game in the preseason with respectable shooting splits as well. So I'm not really going to question his ability to score. I mean, he'll do just fine with that, and I expect him to average around 18 to 20 points per game at the very least. But that being said, I still do have one question for D'Angelo Russell, and that is whether or not he can actually get other players involved. He did have 8 assists yesterday in the Nets win over New York, but throughout his short career so far, he hasn't been known as the best playmaker, and that was visible throughout the preseason as well. However, maybe this isn't going to be the biggest deal. The Nets do have other guys on their roster such as Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie who are much better playmakers than D'Angelo Russell, so maybe they'll use those guys to kind of initiate the offense and just turn to D'Lo to be their primary scorer. But now let's talk about something bad. Let's just get this one out of the way first. This is the elephant in the room. The worst thing that I have noticed this preseason has to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I'm not even going to be talking about the whole mess going on with Jimmy Butler. I'm just going to be talking about the actual Minnesota Timberwolves and how they have been playing in the preseason. They have been hot garbage. They won 1 game in the preseason and lost 4. And I know it's not about wins and losses in the preseason, but it's like there was nothing good when you were watching this team. You didn't see anything good when you were watching this team. Actually, let me take that back. There is one positive, and that positive is at least the Wolves know that they were hot garbage, as after they were destroyed by the Bucks yesterday, Karl-Anthony Towns said this.
You could get beat. Everyone in this league ain't going perfect. I don't care if you're the Golden State Warriors in my rookie year. I don't care who you are. You 95, 96 Bulls, you won't lose some games, but you get beat. You don't ever go out there and get embarrassed like that. We don't got no more time. We don't got no more time to be out here and say, oh, it's okay. You know, it's a preseason. It doesn't count. We back to 0-0. Nah. This momentum we riding right now, this wave we riding, it's not good. And it's not good at all. So we got to fix it. We played Milwaukee Bucks today, and no offense, but Greg Popovich and the Spurs are getting ready for us right now. And when you talk about one of the most fundamentally sound organizations of all time, you know, we got to be at our best if we expect to even go into San Antonio and get a win.
So like I said, at least the Wolves themselves know that they've been trashed. And as for Karl-Anthony Towns, I'm still waiting to see this guy take that next step in his career. His first year in the league, he was amazing. He got everyone hyped. He was as good as advertised coming out of college. But this is me just being completely honest here. I don't think he's gotten much better as a player since then. He did go from averaging 18 points to 25 points per game from year 1 to year 2, but you could say that was just because he was getting more minutes and more shot attempts per game. Everything else remained pretty much the same, besides the fact that he was more comfortable shooting threes, so I guess he did get better in that regard. And then last year, he didn't look any better than he looked in his second year. His scoring did go down, but that was because of the additions of Jimmy Butler and Jeff Teague. He wasn't getting as many shot attempts. But last year was the year that a lot of us fans were expecting him to make that leap. We were expecting him to start to be mentioned in the same conversation as a guy like Anthony Davis. But of course, it didn't happen. Anthony Davis got even better. Karl-Anthony Towns remained the same. So now the gap between the two players is massive. And this year in the preseason, he had one game where he looked like good. I still won't say this game was like on Anthony Davis levels. He had one game where he dropped like 33 points in a loss, but still looked good. But other than that, I'd say for the most part, he looked exactly the same that he looked last season. And this isn't me trying to say that Karl-Anthony Towns is a bad player, because he's not. Even if Karl-Anthony Towns never got any better, he'd still be a really good player. He'd still be an all-star. It would just be disappointing that he was never able to improve upon the level he's already at. And speaking of not improving, let's talk about Andrew Wiggins once again. Now, all of you already know how I feel about Andrew Wiggins. I don't consider myself a hater. I consider myself to be a disappointed Andrew Wiggins fan who's been disappointed for the last time by Andrew Wiggins. The guy has no heart. He has no heart, no desire to get better. At this point, I question whether or not he even likes playing the game of basketball. I think he might just be playing because he's a naturally gifted athlete. Like Jimmy Butler said during his interview, Andrew Wiggins is one of the most naturally gifted athletes ever. But he doesn't have the heart, he doesn't have the work ethic, or he doesn't have the skill to back it up. In high school and college, his natural gifts were enough to make him better than anyone else, so he stood out. But he never had to work for it. It came easy for him, so he never developed that work ethic. But now that he's in the NBA, that is not about to fly. And unfortunately, the Wolves handed him a $150 million contract last summer, so they're stuck with him whether or not he does improve, and it's not looking like he's about to improve. And I could go on raging and ranting about Wiggins forever, but it's just wasting my breath at this point. So the bottom line is, without Jimmy Butler, this Wolves team is not going to be good at all. Like, they're not going to be in the playoffs. And as for the future of the Wolves going forward, I don't even know what to expect, but I'm not expecting too much at this point. Now for some more good though, and it might be a little too early to call this one official. When I mean a little too early, I mean way too early, but the initial impressions are really positive. And what I'm talking about here is Lonzo Ball's jumper. It seems like Lonzo Ball might have actually fixed his jumper this summer. And we saw footage circulating throughout the offseason saying that this would be the case. That I was up for debate whether or not he really did tweak his shot or not. I think he did just a little bit. It's not a major overhaul, but you can see a little bit of a difference there. And from what we've seen in the preseason so far, it looks like it's true. In yesterday's game against the Warriors, Lonzo went 2 of 3 from deep. And then the other game against the Warriors, he shot the ball pretty well from the field too. And that's it. That's all the sampling that we have to go from. So yeah, but I will say that this small sample of just 2 consistent games in a row already looks a lot better than how he was last year. And let's keep the good times rolling here by talking about something else good. Actually, something else that's been great so far in the preseason, or that I've noticed in the preseason. That would be this year's rookie class. As this year's rookie class looks like it might be able to challenge last year's rookie class in one of the best rookie classes that we've ever seen in a while. And this is why I hope that the NBA brings back just the rookies versus sophomore, the All-Star break, because that would be really good this year instead of the world versus US. Make it rookie versus sophomore, please. And with that being said, there's no way that I'll be able to talk about all of the rookies that have been good, because it's been just about all of them. So yeah, I'm just gonna go down the list real quick, and then there are a couple that stood out to me that I'm gonna talk about at the very end here. All of the rookies that we were looking forward to playing have shown us exactly why we have been looking forward to seeing them playing. I think Trae Young is going to be really good. He has the confidence, he has the range. That was just him getting comfortable with the NBA game. Marvin Bagley has had games where he has looked just as good as advertised. Mo Bamba is going to be amazing. The Magic need to hurry up and find a trade for Nikola Vucevic so that they can get Bamba into that starting lineup. Wendell Carter Jr. for Chicago has looked solid. He's been starting over Jabari Parker the last couple of games, probably because the Bulls realize that they're going to need some type of defense in that starting lineup, because they're asking for more than just trouble if they have Markkanen at the center and Parker at the power forward. Once Markkanen comes back, they would get destroyed defensively. Grayson Allen for the Jazz looks like he's going to be a great backcourt player to go along with Donovan Mitchell. I wouldn't be surprised if Donovan Mitchell gets moves to the point guard and Grayson Allen becomes a starting 2 guard at some point in time for Utah. Miles Bridges for the Hornets looks like he could be an absolute steal. I really like that guy. Colin Sexton shows promise. I just don't know why the Cavs insist on starting George Hill over him. So like I said, all of the rookies so far have looked great. However, 2 of them have definitely stood above the rest. And that, of course, is DeAndre Ayton and Luka Doncic, the 2 favorites to win Rookie of the Year this year. And they have for sure shown us why in the preseason. Ayton has just flat out been dominant. In the low post, most teams aren't going to have an answer for him, and I just can't wait to see how great both he and Booker can become together. And as for Doncic, he has adjusted the NBA game just fine. Like, I don't have anything negative to say about him whatsoever. This year's rookie class looks legit. And now let's end this video on a bad note. And I know a lot of you guys had to see this one coming because I already made 2 videos on it in like the past week, and that is the refs. The NBA referees have almost completely ruined this preseason watching experience for me just because it's so hard to watch and get into the games when there's a foul being called every 45 seconds. I made 2 videos saying the exact same thing, and even if you guys haven't seen those videos, if you have watched at least one preseason game, you know exactly what I am talking about. These refs are out of control and it's bad. So at this point, I'm just hoping that this isn't the case during the regular season, that the norm doesn't become 60 fouls getting called every single game. Anyways, those are my main good and bad takeaways from this preseason as a whole. I should have prefaced the video with saying this, but I know there are some players or some teams or some things that I should have mentioned that were good or bad that I didn't mention, but I couldn't mention every single thing that I saw, or else this video would be like 30 minutes long. So if I missed anyone that you think deserves getting mentioned, please let me know down in the comment section below. Anyways, remember to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel with post notifications turned on so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you once again for watching. Though you guys already know that you are the real MVPs, but until next time, I am out here. Peace.